So unfortunately, we don't have an universal Übersetzer currently, so I think you're all very courageous to be here and listen to my talk in English. Now, before I start, I want to show you this and ask you, what do you think this is? Does anyone know? Michel? No clue?
The amount of information that is growing and the revenue from the information that is decreasing?
No. Wrong.
Published versus the digitally published.
Yes, very, very good. Yeah. So the growing or the increasing line is the online revenue in my business unit, and the declining line is the print revenue. Now, so it's clear that if we had stuck to the print revenue, we would have been in trouble. So I'm Gwen de Vries, as Andreas already told you, and my position is I'm the Director of Publishing and Content Development of the international group of Wolters Kluwer Legal and Regulatory. Very long. Now, Wolters Kluwer is a huge company. It has over 4 billion euros revenue in 2015, and it has 18,000 employees all over the world. It's a Dutch company originally, so we're still, formerly we're Dutch, but we're very active in all kinds of different countries. And about 70% of our revenue, for instance, comes from the US. So it's a very global company. And I'm based in Alphen aan de Rijn, which is a small city near to Leiden. And my business unit, the international group, we are based in Alphen and in London, and we have around 40 people. And of these 40 people, we have 30 nationalities, so it's a very international group. And our customers are the international lawyers that deal with cross-border issues, cross-border legal issues. And typically they are people, or they're law firms, they're corporate counsel, or corporations, and universities. Now, our revenue comes from 30% about the US, 30% Europe, and about 20% from Asia, and then some other bits and pieces. We publish in a couple of niches: arbitration, competition law, tax, and IP. And we still have our print products, books, loose leaves a little bit, and journals, but our growth very much comes from the online business. And it's mainly online research tools and services. So I'll show you something, an example. So it started with our content, putting that into a portal, our print content, putting that into a portal. But in the meantime, we've changed that content, improved it. It's more up-to-date, it's more enriched with metadata and linking. There is more summary information, so you can quickly go to the right, more detailed information. It's made more accessible by search engines and tools. And what do these research services and tools do? In general, they support our customers to find a case for to find arguments for their case, or to stay up to date. In general, to do research in a particular area of law. Now, too quick. So first a bit about myself. So I started with Wolters Kluwer in 1987. So I practiced, I was really, with this company for almost all my life. And I studied law, I'm a lawyer, and then I practiced for a little while, and I didn't really like that, so I then ended up in publishing quite accidentally. So like so many of my colleagues, it's usually never something, I want to be a publisher, but it just happens. But I really like it, and I still like it. Now, back in those days, life was really simple, because we really had 3 flavors. We had a book, a journal, and a loose leaf. And all you had to do was find the right authors and tell them to write about the right topics, and then the money more or less poured in. Now, those simple days are over, and just like the music industry, publishing has completely changed. And maybe it's good, because otherwise it's also a little bit boring to do that all these years. So internet really changed the publishing business, because it changed the way our customers consume their information. Now, think newspapers, they're struggling. Think about a product like Yellow Pages, no longer there. Think bookshops, they're really struggling. A lot of bookshops have disappeared. Now, before I go on, I'd like to share a little movie that was created by 3 UK book publishers. And now I think I have to move this.
This is the end of publishing and books are dead and boring. No longer can it be said that we like to read. My friends and I, we don't like the way books feel in our hands. It's not true that I don't follow trends. I know what I want when I see it, and packaging is more important than content. I have to tell you, my attention span is too small for big ideas. And it's just not true that I read a lot and I like learning. I don't care. And you should never think I've got to be concerned with environment and sustainability. What I really hope you get is you've got to open your eyes to my values. What's important to me is what Lady Gaga is wearing. And I don't really care all that much what Gandhi did last century. I think it's unbelievable that you're actually listening to us. What's important for you is you'll find customers for your products. You think your job's done if we like your brand. We'll do it for you on Facebook, on our mobiles, me and my friends. Your market is dying. Don't think it's all going to survive. It is the end of the publishing industry as we know it. Unless you reverse how you see me. It is going to survive. Don't think that it's all dying. Your market is me and my friends. On our mobiles, on Facebook, we'll do it for you. If we like your brand, your job's done. You'll think of products for your customers. You'll find what's important for you is that you're actually listening to us. I think it's unbelievable what Gandhi did last century. And I don't really care all that much what Lady Gaga is wearing. What's important to me is you've got to open your eyes to my values. What I really hope you get is I've got to be concerned with environment and sustainability. And you should never think I don't care. I read a lot and I like learning. And it's just not true that my attention span is too small for big ideas. I have to tell you, content is more important than packaging. I know what I want when I see it, and I don't follow trends. It's not true that we don't like the way books feel in our hands. My friends and I, we like to read. No longer can it be said that books are dead and boring, and this is the end of publishing.
Okay. Yeah, it's a really nice movie, and yeah, quite touching also. So today, the topic of my talk is successful digital transformation in the publishing business. And I will share some experiences with you around content, how we do this, or how we try to do this. And as this movie so inspiringly tells us, I still believe that content is key. It won't disappear. And lawyers still need the cases for their arguments. They still need to be able to go to laws to find the relevant article of the law. They still need to read from their fellow lawyers how they interpret the law, how they interpret the case. So it's still very important. But a lot of content is now for free. And content alone is not enough anymore. So we have to really work hard to make it better. It has to be at their fingertips when they need it. It has to be easy to find. It has to give answers to the questions, and the answers they have to trust, be able to trust the answers, and they have to really like using it. So we have to work very hard to understand their needs and to understand their workflow, acquire the good relevant content, develop products that they really like using. And I will focus my presentation around 3 topics: customer, processes, and technology. And I will start with the customer. So again, who are our customers? So the international lawyers advising on cross-border issues. So it could be a partner in law firm who has to stay up to date on an important development like the Unified Patent Court. That's a new development in patent law, and they have to advise their clients what this will mean for their business. Or it can be a paralegal who is researching a certain area in order to find arguments for a case that the partner has. Or it can be a corporate counsel who has to have insight in maybe 25 different patent law systems all over the world, because he has a patent case that crosses borders, and he has to be able to tell his counsel in all these countries what they have to do. So it can also be an academic who is doing research, comparative research for his thesis. So this is kind of a snapshot of who our customers are. And one thing is clear: their workflow has changed. So they, in the old days, they would go to the library and look into the books, and or they may read the journal on the train home. But now they research everything online. They start in Google, and they read their updates on an iPhone. Now I want to start telling you a little story about some product development that we did. So about 5 years ago, we developed a new product called Corporate Counsel Dispute Resolution. And that product, we developed it. We had a very strong position already in arbitration for the law firm market and also for the universities. So we thought, let's do a spin-off for the corporate counsel. So we talked to a lot of corporate counsel, we did research, we did the market sizing, we developed the product, we developed a go-to-market plan, and then we launched it, and then 0 sales. So that was not good, of course. A lot of people spent a lot of time on it, and it turned out that there was just no need for it. Basically, the pain point was not big enough for these people. And when they had an issue with arbitration, they would just go to their counsel and counsel would help, but they only had occasionally need for that, but not often enough. So this was something where we clearly failed identifying the customer needs, and we only found out quite late in the process after we've created the product and launched it. So a lot of money spent and time spent for nothing. And so the traditional waterfall way of new product development doesn't really work anymore. Sometimes we do things better. So another example where I think we were successful is we have a platform called Kluwer Law Online. It's this academic platform. It has all our journals. And we figured out that the way how they use it is they're libraries, university libraries, and they create portals and they make deep links to the various journals that they subscribe to. And another way of using this content was in people starting Google Analytics, so Google Scholar, sorry. People starting Google Scholar, and they didn't go to our platform. They accessed this information either through these deep links at the university portals or through Google Scholar. So we tweaked our platform a little bit, not that expensive. We created journal pages so people could link to these journal pages directly. And we also, that was really important, we had a really good contact person at Google Scholar who really helped us tweaking our platform and our content so it would come up high in the ranking of Google Scholar. So just simple things like making sure that there was a preview on Google Scholar of our content, or and also creating own URLs per title. That really made a huge, huge difference. And after a year, so if you compare before and after, we had an 80% increase of usage. So and the point I want to make is by really looking at the user journey, understanding how people came to our content, we were able to make the difference. So we created lean and agile methods, or implemented them. We have user groups, we have alpha and beta testing. This is one more thing I want to share with you around how we try to understand the customer needs. It's a new process that we just introduced. It's called Lean Startup Methods. Maybe some of you have heard about it already. Yes. And within Wolters Kluwer, everybody is learning about this now. And so again, in the old days, it was me, the publisher, who had an idea, and I would talk to people and then say, okay, this is how we should do it, and everybody would follow. But now we do differently. So it starts with a pain point, a problem. Somebody has heard, it can be anyone, it can be a salesperson, anyone in the company is heard at a customer. So we have something we think, oh, there's something in there, pain points. Then we pull together teams, different backgrounds. And it can be anyone in the company. It can be people who are usually dealing with our vendors, not necessarily people who are dealing with customers, but different people, pull them together, and then we brainstorm for about a day about the problem. So what's the problem? What's the market segment? What's the solution we can make for the problem? What's the business value? Are there any alternatives? So we do this brainstorm, and then we also define small experiments. So really small experiments, like interviewing 5 customers. And before we do that, or before we interview them, before we execute the experiments, we put KPIs on them. So we say, okay, in order for it to be successful, it has to do this. This has to be the results. And we do the experiments, and then we come together again, and we either decide to kill or to continue, or sometimes to pivot. The idea is to quickly go to a prototype and then to a minimal viable product. But the big difference, of course, is it's little steps, constantly checking with the markets, taking little steps and doing them quickly. And so my conclusion for this particular topic is that it's really tough to understand your customer needs well and their workflow, but it's, of course, essential for success. And it's better to take small steps and do them quickly than when you figure this out. Now, my next topic is around processes. Don't look at all the detail, I'll explain it later. So my statement here is that for success, you also have to constantly review and adapt your process to make content acquisition more efficient. And content development as well, of course, content enrichment. And we have a big challenge, and I heard it also yesterday with my colleague from Thieme, because we still have still have to make sure the old business continues, because that's, well, as we say in Dutch, the kurk that drives everything else. You have to keep the old business going in order to invest in new business. But we can't suddenly increase the number of people, of course. We have to do it with the same number of people. So I want to ask you a question. So who of you have outsourced work? Raise your hands. Okay, quite a few. Who of you has outsourced core work? None. Oh, one. Okay, good. And yeah, I'll tell you how we've outsourced core work. And it has to do with authors. Now, we don't have our own authors. We don't have rights our content internally. It's all external authors. And we've outsourced quite a lot of work or dealings with these authors that we consider really important, because they're the creators of our content. Now, if you look at this graph, and again, don't look at all the details, look at the colors. At the left side is, this is where we acquire the content, so we sign the contract, we agree with the author what he has to do. Then the blue is the author writing it and then submitting it to us. Then we do a quality check, we say, okay, is it good enough? Then this part is the copy editing part, making sure all the I's are the dots are on the I's and the T's are crossed. And then this was also already outsourced in 2008. This is the whole typesetting process. And then we check it again internally, and then the content is published, either pushed online or as a book. So the content creation and the typesetting printing was already outsourced in 2008. Now, 2009 to 2012, quite a long period, about 3 periods, we did more. We also outsourced the whole copy editing and the quality control after, between typesetting and printing. That was all outsourced. Now, I mean, initially we were really afraid. We said, okay, we're going to outsource all this copy editing. The copy editors that we had were people that knew the products inside out. They knew the authors also very well. So they knew whether an author had a cat, or whether his wife was sick, or they had a really personal relationship with these people. And we said, oh, this is really dangerous. If we are outsourcing this work and you let other people be in touch with our authors, we may lose them. They don't like that. But in the end, it worked. So it took us quite a long period, 2 to 3 years to do this. And of course, things didn't go easy. There were issues with communication. Suddenly there was people from India calling the authors. They had a different accent. There were quality issues. Production times took longer in the beginning. But in the end, it really worked. And authors also understood. Now, we didn't stop there. So this is the next phase, a couple of years, also 2, 3 years. So what we also did, we outsourced the chasing process. Authors are always notoriously late, and it's quite a challenge to keep them, moving and submitting stuff. But also the content checking process, this part. So assessing whether the content met the guidelines that we created beforehand. So suddenly it was Aris Montesa from the Philippines who was contacting our authors. Are you on time or not? And she didn't know about the cat or the sick wife. But again, she actually did a much better work than we did, because it's quite boring task to chase authors. And she was much more diligent in doing it than we were. So this also worked. And yeah, did it harm the relationship with our authors? Well, maybe a little, because we're less in touch with them. But as long as you know that as long as they know who to contact whenever there is an issue, it's okay. So the relationship between authors and us, it's really core for us, and we outsourced quite a large part of that. Again, the point I really want to make is in order to be successful and you have to constantly review and adapt your processes. And it's not just about the money, but it's very much also about the people. It's moving lower value work to other parts in the world, and making sure that the people within your company can focus on other things and focus on the future. And that's really important for us. Okay, then the third point is technology. Well, why we're all here, of course, and how technology can make good content great content. There's a lot that can be said about technology. So I just picked out one thing, and it's about the 3 views of the content. I don't know if you know what that is, but I'll explain it. So the first view is, this is an article from one of our journals. So the first view is really the article. You have to read the whole article in order to understand what's in it. Then the second view are the metadata that we applied manually. So who's the author, a topic maybe, or the title. And this is already a big step forward, of course, because it meant, we put all this, of course, in our content management system that was run by Empolis. And we put tools on it to filter and to search. And it's already a big step forward, of course, for our customers, because they can much easier access, all the information. And then the third view is the hidden information in the text. And of course, Empolis knows a lot about that as well, because it's all around semantic tools. It's, of course, possible that you have an article about, I don't know, Austrian competition law, the topic, therefore, is Austria and competition law, but there may also be a very interesting argument in that article, maybe comparing the Austrian law with the German law. So if anyone wants to know more about the German competition law, he may be really interested in seeing that particular argument. Now, you wouldn't find it in the second view of the content, but with the third view, you can get that information out. And as you can imagine, there are now new opportunities for alerting, for better results in searching, filtering, and new products and tools even. Now we're implementing semantic tools now, or technology, for our vocabularies and our taxonomies. But I also want to share with you something where we are also, thinking about. And it's around our arbitrator tool, our Tinder for arbitrators. I'm not sure if you know what Tinder is, because Andreas knows. Don't know why. It's a kind of dating site. It's very popular, but okay. Anyway, before I tell you a bit more about that, arbitration, very quickly, what is arbitration? It's a private dispute resolution system. And the process is the parties themselves can define the process and also pick their own judges. So typically they agree beforehand, before a conflict arises, that if the conflict arises, then we'll go to arbitration. And why do they do this? Because they want their judges to have special expertise, or it's also usually easier to enforce it in another jurisdiction, maybe other reasons. But you can imagine that the selection process for judges is quite important for them. If the stakes are high, you want to really know who the judge is that you pick. So, of course, arbitrators are independent, but of course they also have their views and their, backgrounds. Now, that tool, let me go first to the next step. So this is an example of an award, and I don't think you'll see it, but okay, it's between Enron, a company, and Argentina, and one of the arbitrators is Albert-Jan van den Berg, who is one of our authors also. You have to read, again, the award from A to Z to know what's in there and what the arbitrators said or what their opinion is. The second view would then be manually applied metadata. So Albert-Jan speaks Dutch, English, and French. He has experience with quite a big number of arbitration institutes. He lives in Belgium, for instance. So you can already filter on these things. You can say, okay, I need an arbitrator. I want him to be living in Belgium, and he has to speak Dutch and English, and he has experience with ICC arbitration, for instance. And then, okay, out comes the answer. This is one option, somebody you can choose. But then, wouldn't it be really interesting if you can find out even more? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. And also, this already links then the person to the content. So you can then quickly see, okay, this is what he has written. But now you have to read through all this to figure out what kind of decisions did he really make. So one thing we're looking at now, and we still have to do a lot around it, is to, for instance, say, okay, we want to know how high the damages are that this person typically rewards. Now, in this case, it's quite high because it's $106 million US, but you can imagine if you have a very high-profile arbitration case, you want to make sure that this arbitrator is used to rewarding high damages. So this is really, and there's lots more you can get out, of course, of the content. So these kind of things are things we're looking into now, trying to build another layer on a tool like this and making it even more interesting for our users. So, of course, this all sounds easy, but it is not. Of course, you need good technology, but what's also really important is that this technology, all the systems link together, and that's often a huge problem. And we use lots of different systems for all kinds of reasons, because of legacy or because of Wolters Kluwer policy. So how are we organized? Within Wolters Kluwer, we have our own technical people within the business units, but we have also an organization called the Global Platform Organization, and that's quite a big group within Wolters Kluwer where all the technology people are, and they help us with developing products. But also very, very important for us are our vendors. And they've got to be innovative, they have to understand our content and our business, and they have to think with us. And I think Empolis is a very nice example of a vendor that we really work well together, and they really help us developing our products and making them even better. And of course, so technology is technology, but it's very much about the people as well. And I find it really interesting what the team person said yesterday is that, and I mentioned it earlier in my speech as well, is you really see that the people that we have within our company, they've changed. No more copy editors, but now semantic tool specialists. So you really see that shifting. So technology and the people are crucial for making good content, great content. Now I'm coming to the end of my presentation. So today I focused on 3 topics for successful digital transformation of the publishing business, and then in relation to content. So I gave you some examples on customers, how we try to find their needs, or understand their needs and their workflow. I told you a little bit about how we try to improve our processes so we can free up people for the work of tomorrow. And I showed you some examples how we try to use technology to make our products better and to develop new products. Now, content, I still believe content is key, but it's not enough. And again, people will only pay for it if they have it at their fingertips, if it gives them the good answers, the right answers to their questions, and if they really like using it. So content has to be put in context, and it has to be saved by customers, customer insights, good processes, and of course, excellent technology. And thank you. With this, I am ending my presentation. Thank you for your attention. And I'm always interested in talking to people, you know, hearing new ideas, whatever, or questions. So here's my email. So if not now, then maybe another time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gwen.